Welcome to W2 Media Cafe, and you're in the basement. This is the original Woodward's food floor. So if you can smell some old food smells, it's because we're here in the food floor. And this is part of our, this is the basement of our 3 floors here at W2 Media Cafe. And this is designed as a community broadcasting studio. And the 2 glass wall rooms right there are radio control rooms where we broadcast out to CJS FM and Co-op Radio FM. And we also have the capacity, we will have the capacity soon in the coming months to broadcast to Shaw Cable and Novus Cable. And when we get a little more wealthy, then we can broadcast with fiber optic to other places in the world. And then this community center can then be hooked up with other community media centers and community technology centers in Sao Paulo or in Los Angeles or in Montreal. So this is really about enabling storytellers like Pia Massie, like community radio broadcasters, like people who are learning to produce their own community television, enabling them to have a stronger voice into the future. So using these new technology, using these new tools to support our storytelling. And W2's mandate is about cross-cultural dialogue, social inclusion, breaking the digital divide, and redress. And we're unique in Canada in that, as a mixed-race organization, we are actually interested in doing redress work. It's because we see Vancouver as a site of white supremacy, this notion that, especially when we celebrate Vancouver's 125th anniversary, that there's all this work that hasn't been done, and when we question, are we as a city ready to celebrate cultural harmony, we really only have to dig a little bit to discover that there's many, many communities that make up a population that haven't had a positive experience in this development of Vancouver's 125 years. And so whether it's the Japanese internment camps and Chinese head tax, the residential schools, the fact that we're on unceded territories with no treaties signed in British Columbia, or in most nations within BC, all these are rich opportunities for artists to do storytelling and for W2 to present those stories to the broader public. And it's with this context that we thank the federal government and the City of Vancouver for funding this program tonight, so that we can participate in this dialogue around Vancouver's 125th anniversary. So we're very pleased throughout this year to be presenting different chapters in Vancouver's history, and we're very grateful that Pia Massie has agreed to show us excerpts of her new work that we feel is contributing and will contribute, especially as it tours, to a greater understanding not of the Japanese internment camps as this historical moment, but in fact a continuum of the way women are treated in society, the way Japanese are treated within Canada, the way that the dominant white majority treats different communities of color, whether they be Filipino or Mexican in the current context. So the stories that Pia is telling through these women's stories provide a profound entry point for us to understand other Canadian stories that don't get celebrated in these grand celebrations and grand anniversaries. So we're really grateful Pia that you've done all that work, that we can understand more also about what it means to be Canadian, what it means to be Vancouverite through these experiences that you're showing us. And you'll be taking questions and answers afterwards. Do you want to introduce a little bit more of the work?
Sure. I brought some scrap paper and some pens, and I just handed them to Irwin in my pickle jar. And it's for anybody who wants to scribble notes in the dark about things that came up for them, or things that they might want to add. And also at the end of the time, if you put your email address on the piece of paper, I'll be sure to put you into the god-awful Facebook page for the regular screenings of this piece, which will be coming up. Today, what we'll be seeing is only 2/3 of the film, and we've had a little sync problem, so it's running on 3 screens, so one of the screens is a little bit out, but you know, since you haven't seen it 1,000 times like I have, you probably won't even know the difference. Hart, don't ask me a technical question, please.
Which screen is it on? That's cool.
Which screen is that?
The big prize, the big prize.
Yeah.
So if you are the kind of person who wants to write notes and you don't have a piece of paper, just raise your hand and Irwin will give you a piece of paper and a pen. I'm really, really grateful that you're here to look at this work. It's not quite finished, and we did show the same excerpts on Sunday at the Powell Street Festival, and the reason that I wanted to show it there was because that's the celebration for Japanese Canadians. So actually that's who I made the piece for. Tonight we have somebody in the audience who was actually interned at Tashme, and really that's why I do this work, is because I feel like it's my honor and privilege to be able to have the resources to bring these stories to a larger audience. And for me, I started trying to find out about these stories because I wanted to know what had happened to my own family. And as my mom died when I was really young, I had no idea about any of these stories. So to try and dig and understand the shame and the taboo nature of these stories was a personal quest, but the more I did the research, the more I realized that this is a part of the cultural healing that needs to take place for almost every group in Canada and the US. And I also realized the influence of US policy on Canada, especially around the issue of internment. There's been much more exorcism of this history in the US than there has been in Canada. And so to me, it's